People believe that the paranormal and science are separate. But what they don't know, that they are both joined together as one. Join Ben and Louisa on their quest as they bring together science, occult, and the paranormal, only on Occult, History, and Science with Ben and Lou.
Good evening, kids. As you can see, we've got a special guest on this side. It's the one and only Damon. Lou is on her way. She is going to be here in a minute. Looking for a plaster. As normal, if you can hear the pups in the background, they are going at each other crazily at the minute. So just brace yourself some strange noises. Oh, straight away we've got Kate joining us. Hello. And we've got Natasha. And anyone else that sat there watching. So tonight's show, guys, you're going to have to bear with me because I feel and look like death as it is. So just to give you a good heads up on stuff as well, tonight Lou is obviously giving away her another prize, and we also have an update on the grand prize for next week. It is a show you don't want to miss, as the prize is not coming from us, it's coming from one of our I say sponsors, one of our partnerships that we have.
One of many.
Do not want to miss that. Yeah, one of many. Here she is. You joining?
Yeah, you're in my spot.
Oh, am I in your spot?
Yeah, move, man. Come on, seriously. You should know your place by now, Ben.
Sorry, guys. Technical issue. I'm currently sat in Lou's spot, so I've been told off.
This is the great thing about solo presenter. I don't have these arguments.
Take the cushions up the sofa.
Yeah, technical issues here, guys. You done?
I didn't do that.
Right.
You're very close to me.
Well, yeah, because I'm usually in that corner.
Not when I'm crocheting.
Yeah, but you're not crocheting, are we? We're doing the show.
I'm crocheting because you're David and talking about stuff.
So,
Search, man. I'm ready.
right. So, tonight's show is we're talking about Atlantis, all the other lost cities, and forgotten cities. And there is a massive difference between a lost city and a forgotten city.
Yeah, lost is normally down the back of the sofa. Forgotten, you just can't remember where you put it.
Yeah. Stupid as it sounds, there is quite a few cities that are like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll name a few from history, which some of them really are funny. Like people have lost entire cities, like the size of like Rome and Manhattan, and I've just completely forgot where they are. So yeah,
Has the show been shared?
I haven't got a clue. You don't do that. So as a normal, any questions that you do happen to have, be it on the subject we're talking about or paranormal in general, throw them up, and we shall answer them as we do.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get started. Damon, tell them what you know about Atlantis.
I know that it's said to be somewhere where it's not. When we talk about Atlantis, with me, it's more not the interest of the place, it's the people that were in it. Read a lot of books, especially the Doctrine by Helena Blavatsky, which talks about root races. And out of all the root races in human evolution, 7 of them actually came from Atlantis themselves. Now, I couldn't remember off the top of my head, so I have got a list of the root races that were in Atlantis, which we can get to later. But for anybody that's confused what a root race is, a root race is almost like a stage in human evolution. Yeah, it's a belief within the esoteric practices that we have different parts of evolution which we call root races. And if you go through these root races, 7 of them you'll find are races that were in Atlantis, obviously including the Atlanteans, but there are also 6 others that people don't really know much about.
Yeah, yeah, I've been to this study.
Yeah.
So, guys, as always, I've got a slideshow. Well, I say slideshow, I've got photos. So, first one is we're going to put up to show you what, like Damon says, this is one of 2 places where people believe Atlantis is. So, this is the first one. Obviously, as you can see, the North Atlantic Sea between us and America. Now, that's not a small patch in the world. That is a ridiculously large patch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the problem is when it comes to Homer's Odyssey, which is where Atlantis is first mentioned when it comes into the historical stance. He says that Atlantis was outside of the Pillars of Hercules. Now, the Pillars of Hercules, as we know, historical fact, is the Strait of Gibraltar.
Mm-hmm.
So that puts it outside of there. One of the main misconceptions is, yes, that's what's said. So why does everyone look in the Mediterranean for it?
Yeah, no, it's a bit stupid.
So that outrules that one.
Also, if you look at the writings in like the old grimoires and the doctrines that were written by olden times, they actually described Atlantis being in a place where it was the weather was compared to the weather of heaven. So putting it within that spot that you just put up there on that map makes no sense, because that is probably one of the worst places for weather in the world.
Yeah. From the Atlantic Sea downwards, and then connecting into the Indian Ocean, obviously across from Africa, are 2 of the worst places in the world for weather.
Mm-hmm.
The Atlantic Ocean, obviously, for being the direct wind draft, and the Gulf Stream coming straight down from the Arctic across everything, straight down to the South Pole with no landmass in between. And then the Indian Ocean having a point called Nemo's Point, which is the furthest point from anywhere in the world from human mass. If you actually go there, you are closer to the International Space Station than you are to anyone else, which really says something.
Yeah.
So to have it, for people to keep looking inside the Mediterranean is just bloody pointless. That's saying the area is in the name, so it's not in the Mediterranean. Yeah, but you'd be surprised. The problem is a lot of people got it mixed up with another city that was forgotten, not lost, forgotten, which was in between Greece and Crete. It was a grouping of islands, and I can't remember the name of it. But they were destroyed by a volcanic eruption, and they just put 2 and 2 together and made 50.
You're not talking about Pompeii, are you?
Not Pompeii, no. There's another place further in, for actually into the Mediterranean. I can't remember the name of it. I want to say Croatia, but I don't know if that is Croatia.
No.
Yeah. So that, along with also Troy, is one of the main cities got forgotten, but Troy has been found recently.
Yeah.
So yeah, that cancels out the Mediterranean completely. I want to throw that out straight away because everyone bloody says
it. I don't think it's in the. Well, everyone says it because of the name Atlantis. It was in the Atlantic Sea. I don't think it was there either. If you look at Nordic belief system, they actually believe that there was a city called Atlantis, which was part of the 7 Nordic sort of, what do you call it, like realms.
7 realms.
Yeah, it was part of Svartalheim, which is the land of ice and rock.
Yeah. And see, the problem when it comes to the looking into the Atlantic for it, where we've had people say it's been out as far as bloody the Bermuda Triangle, which is a brilliant one.
Yeah.
Is you have an image. Now, this is a photographer. This is satellite image of the place in Atlantic. This is what a lot of people see. Yes.
That looks way too small to be somewhere like Atlantis.
Yeah. Yeah. to be fair to the photograph, yeah, there is lines there, but these can also be put down as what's known as trawling lines for boats.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you look at it, the way that the directions of the lines are, they're very much at a 90-degree angle. So, you know, if you look at the writings of Atlantis, especially written, like I say, Helena Blavatsky, she talks about Atlantis being a giant city engulfed in a circle. So that
Yeah.
would rule be in a place for Atlantis to be anyway.
Yeah, pretty much. This photo's been used quite a lot to say that's where Atlantis is.
Yeah.
Now, by that, it's not. It's quite easily shown.
There's probably flat earthers that are going with that as well.
Yeah, well, they've got friends all around the globe, so
They're all around the globe, yeah.
all around the globe. So that kind of ruins that one out a bit. The problem is that there is cities and there is places like that are out in the Atlantic. There is a place called Little Babylon, which is off the coast of Cornwall down to this point. If anyone wants to know about Little Babylon, look into the Rendlesham Forest incident with the UFO. Coordinates were given there. Archaeologists have actually found bits and bobs there. There was also the land of Dogger, which is basically what we know now as the Channel Tunnel. Well, the Channel area. That land's only exist. That channel, basically, English and French channels, only existed for the past 8,000 years.
Yeah.
Before that, it was a flat land. They found evidence of settlements and stuff like that before. So, moving on to the next one. I can literally hear the dogs snoring from here. So, this is where we get interesting. Now, you take all the evidence of Atlantis with people saying what it is, and this is why I'm getting straight onto this. I wanted to just roll out the rumors straight away. As you said, Damon, perfect weather.
Yes.
It's always been described as perfect weather. Now, you know where I'm going to show because you already know, because people that have watched this show for years know exactly. I've always pointed it into one place.
And I've got a really cool bit to sort of back your claim up as well.
Now, past the pillars of Hercules, you are looking out into the wider world. Now, there is reports of ships being seen in centuries ago, of great advancements coming over up the sort of African coast around there. So, I'm going to show you an image, and this is called the Eye of the Sahara, or the Eye of Africa.
Yeah.
Here you can see. You can easily go find it on Google Maps, very easily. Now, if I show you that, which is color coordinated, so it shows up more sort of water patterns where you can see rivers have come down from the mountains, filled in the marks on the basins and stuff like that. Now, if I flip to this photo, that is what Atlantis was supposed to have looked like. The ring circles as described with water in the middle. Now, if you compare them two photographs to each other as you see them, you can see the pattern. Now, this is a very, very large area that no government around there will let anyone go and do an excavation on it.
Yeah.
So if I fire another one up, this is what Atlantis was described at in the painting.
Yep.
That is the Eye of Africa there.
It makes more sense, doesn't it?
Makes a hell of a lot more sense just by flicking through the photos.
Yeah.
You can notice the pattern work. And this is what we try to suggest. And there's a lot of people, a lot of archaeologists and a lot of main people that have said this is where they think Atlantis was. Problem is, people won't allow it. There's a lot of governments that won't do that.
And just to back up the theory with Atlantis being in Africa, I took this from Wiki, which is like the main source of information on the internet, which shouldn't really, but anyway. Now, there were 7 root races, and the 4th root race was known as Atlantean. Now, I'll read this word for word. it says the fourth root race, the Atlantean, according to theosophy, arose approximately 4,500 years ago in Africa from the fourth subrace of the Lemurians. In a part of Africa that had been colonized by the subrace in the area now inhabited by the Ashanti. According to theosophists, the first Atlantean subrace was the result of the last or seventh Lemurian subrace. So it's saying that they come from Africa. So if you're talking about the root race of the Atlanteans, and you talk about Atlantis being in the eye of Africa, it makes more sense, because if you look at the main root race of the Atlanteans, it said that they were derived from the previous root race, which was developed within Africa.
Yep. So there you are. There is a lot more backup where it is. A lot more backup where it is. And that's saying in Greek, Atlantis apparently means island of Atlantis. Yeah. These are the prime places where it shows more evidence. Hey up, Emma. Okay, I'm in the right. Kate, can you see the chat more now? Sorry, I've just seen your comment. Hoping you can see it a bit more.
She might be in the Demonologist UK one, or because like if you go in certain chats, it only shows like the people that are watching from that.
Yeah, we'll do. Yeah. Well, this is a prime example. Now, there's always this. There's 4 tiers that I've heard that they use before to find where Atlantis is. Atlantis was said to have red stone. Well, around that area, there is red stone. You can see that clear as day in the image, satellite images.
Yeah, yeah.
Ringed circles. Just seen ringed circles with water flow around them.
According to studies as well, the circles, depending on where you lived within them circles in the city of Atlantis, depending on how important you are to the races, because supposedly the Lemurians and the Akkadians lived in the inner circle because they were the most important. Because the Akkadians were they were psychic and able to read people's minds.
Yep. There, you've still got all the circles, and as you can see on that photograph, you can see where the circles are.
Mm-hmm.
The third one was said to have a good climate with forests, stuff like that. Now, to take the ages back even more, we all know that about 8,000 years ago, Sahara Desert was mainly jungle.
Yep.
We have historical evidence for that. If you ask anyone who studies Egyptology or anyone that even knows a fair bit on Egypt, they will tell you and they will show you Egypt was a great forest.
Yeah.
The fourth one being that they had certain animals there. Elephants, other exotic animals. Sorry, but what's Africa known for?
Yeah, no, it does make sense. Even though if you was going to play devil's advocate to what you said there about elephants being there, if we look at the immigration patterns over the world, elephants used to be in Europe and places like that at that time. But I mean, you look at Africa in itself; their international emblem is the elephant, isn't it? So
yeah,
and they like to put things in plain sight, don't they?
Yeah, but then you can also fire off with, if you look back to the Roman era, when you've got places like Carthagena that was settled, which is now modern day Tunisia, which, if you think about it, isn't really that far from where the Eye of Africa is.
No,
it's near Morocco.
Kate's put up a good question, by the way. I just thought I'd throw it out there.
Yeah, I'm going to get on that in a sec. That's a good question. You just have to look. The Carthaginians used battle elephants for war.
Yeah. So the Persians didn't they as well?
Yeah, the Persians did. The Persians also. Everyone used battle elephants. So there was a massive trade for elephants.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, why is Atlantis so significant? Is it because of the technology they had? Yes and no. Atlantis is the sort of pinnacle of the ancient world. It's what's known as the first eras. So this is where technology was massively advanced. We seem to have lost the ability to understand it.
Yeah.
Now, to bring in another forgotten city, not a lost city, because they know where it is, they've found it, they just tend to ignore it, is a place called Pumapunka.
We spoke about this a lot.
Yeah. Now, I've got a photo that I'm going to put up, guys. This is of some building work in Pumapunka. Now, just to give you the backstory on this first, Pumapunka is a city that shouldn't exist but does exist. The era it's put in predates Aztecs, everything like that. Just on a random note, to actually tell you how old the Aztec Empire is, Oxford University is older than the Aztec Empire. And it doesn't seem much. But while the Aztecs were coming about, Oxford University was already established.
It's crazy when you think about it.
Yeah. History, it's like Albert Einstein's theory of relativity. Towards what we saw in Europe, the rest of the world was still doing other things. Like Rome, for example, when Rome was being founded, China was in the midst of what's known as the 100-Year Wars, the Three Kingdoms War. They were already massively advanced beyond us in the West. And then you think back to the Middle Ages. Whilst we were having our witch trials and hunting and Christianity becoming a major religion or persecution, Baghdad was the center of university, was the center of science and medicine and everything. And so it's weird to think how it's progressed across. But this is the image of one of the buildings at Pumapunka. And yeah, I know it doesn't look like much, but that style of work there is impossible. When you look at the technology that was used. Same when it comes to the Egyptians, the technology they used for making statues is impossible to do with just copper materials. And even where Pumapunka is, there is no materials. There is no copper material. It's basically on a plateau. So
just to throw it out there as well, a lot of people don't realise this, that the actual Mongolian race was born out of one of the sub-root races of Atlantis as well.
There's a lot that people don't realise how. This is why Atlantis is such a main prevalence in our societies.
It's also one of the most, it was the first multicultural city as well.
Yeah.
With multiple belief systems.
Yeah. If the thing with Atlantis is the reason people are so obsessed with it is because if it gets found, it would potentially unify everyone.
Yeah, it would. It would. And it would also unlock the fact of the things that we talk about, i.e., energy, clairvoyance, these sort of things have always existed. It's not a modern day fad that's come around. These things have been existing since the days of Atlantis. When we talk about the Arcadians, these were blonde-haired, blue-eyed, massive humans that were able to access the Akashic records, and they were able to read minds and psychically connect with ancestors. And this was proven in writings that they found in the Library of Alexandria as well.
Yeah. But see, there's a thing as well with the Library of Alexandria. We have this idea that the library was just burnt up in one night. It wasn't. It fell apart in the space of about 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, so people saying, "Go on, mate." Sort of broke up and on our end.
No, they got a lot of the writings out of the Library of Alexandria, but a lot of them, like from what I've done with my research, half of the scrolls of Alexandria that they rescued are in the Vatican safe underneath Vatican City, and the other half are locked over in America underneath the Smithsonian in their library underneath there.
And the ones that were left that escaped are also dotted around Europe in different private collections.
Yeah.
See, a problem with a lot of cultology stuff is it's all in private collections.
Yeah.
A lot private museums. So there is a lot of history you don't see in museums and stuff. People tend to forget all the stuff in museums is donated. It's not owned by the museums. A lot of it is donated.
Mm-hmm.
So what was it? Net saying? Is it hidden away because of the location that they wrecked and don't want to acknowledge as the first technology? Yeah. You look at places like just say hello, Craig.
Hello, Craig.
Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Big shout out to Haunted and Haunted Museum at Stoke-on-Trent. Sorry, guys, my brain is really, really fried.
On their Higgy Pop Award as well.
Yeah, they're on 3 Higgy Pops Award.
Oh, look at them. Look, they've only been on the scene like 2 minutes. We got none. We've been here for 2 years.
Also, why I take this opportunity while everyone's here as well. The grand prize for next week,
Next Friday.
next Friday's show, is 2 tickets for the museum that Craig has kindly donated to us.
Go on,
For a
Craig.
tour around the museum.
For private tour around the museum.
Boom.
Well, that's 2 tickets.
Over 18s only.
Yeah, you have to be over 18 to go in due to the fact of how it is. 2 tickets for for next week's winner. We're going to be running this advert all week for guys, so
You don't have to pay attention to Ben rambling, really.
Yeah, you don't have to pay attention to me.
You don't have to try and work out what he's trying to say.
I'm not going to lie, guys. I'm looking at myself on this, and I'm just looking at death.
He's got the child's illness.
So
The child has kindly passed it on to
Yeah.
him.
Hey, look, man flu is no joke. Yeah, man flu is no joke.
so yeah, hopefully next week, big prize. However, we might as well run this week's prize.
Yeah.
So I'm going to throw you over to the boss lady because it's funny to catch her completely off guard.
Let me catch you while you guys are chatting. Right, so this week's prize is, don't know if everyone's seen the post I put up. I should have put it up earlier. But
Yeah, I have to admit, we sort of lost completely on a track of time and just went, oh no!
right, so what we've got is the little Todd keyring.
God,
He's
look
so cute. He's so cute. I haven't even got myself one yet. I actually need to make myself one.
Out of order.
Go on.
No one's got one in the team. I just keep making them for other people. And then from Slate and Bone, we
Oh.
have handmade. If you can kind of see it here. Ben, your screen's really cracked. We've got handmade wire and wooden beads on little. Can't really see that well here, but rope chain thing there.
You can see the photos
You
on the
can
page
see.
as well.
And.
Oh, well, there's more.
Yeah.
Yeah, prizes get better as it gets towards Christmas.
Oh,
We've got, here we go, where are we going? Oh, the light's being really weird on that. There you can see it, wire wrapped howlite pendant. The light's kind of reflecting off it, but just look at the photo on the page, because all it looks like is just like a glowing rock here. Oh, magic glowing rock. But yeah, so those are this week's prizes for the lucky winner. So yeah,
What you go for?
what we're going for? We shall go for. Well, we'll keep it festive. So we'll go for the Christmas symbols again, like pop up snowflake emojis, snowmen, pop them up in the chat. Then you haven't got your laptop up because last week I could only see them on the laptop.
Yep.
So, guys, if you want these prizes,
Fire them up. Fire.
pop your
Well,
emojis up.
while people are firing up their emojis, can I just say that I've seen these creations that Slate and Bo make firsthand. I've held them, and they are top quality. And trust me, this is a prize you don't want to miss out. 100%.
Yeah.
And you get a Todd. What more can you want?
Ben's laptop.
We've had some good winners, haven't we, so far?
Yeah.
I shall get the laptop while you all throw them up.
I feel sort of left out. I feel like I've only ever really given out one prize for my quiz show. So I feel like I need to do something. So I might have to do, like, when we get close to Christmas, a date with Damon. You get to go on a date with Damon. Auction, they got bid for it.
That's like the New Year's prize.
Yeah. You get to spend the night with me, getting bored out of your life.
Oh, a night with you. But it's just a day, but now it's a night.
Yeah, we're all excited.
Get it up on the laptop and I'll put my finger on it there.
I don't know what I'm gonna do.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
Yeah, but last time not everyone's things came through up here.
everyone's things are coming through there.
They're all
Right.
coming.
But they're not-
All right, because last year it was failing a bit. Right, move it up and down.
Right, got another minute, guys.
And then Ben's gonna sort of go like that with the comments, and I'm gonna start, yeah, my finger. It was icy. We've got a humpy bridge by the canal, and we were walking the dog, and it was really icy. And so I got the dog lead in this hand. Now, bear in mind, she kind of pulls a little bit. I know she's only small, but she gets a bit excited and she hops and hops and hops and tries to pull. So I was trying to, like, walk down the side of the bridge, and it's like really, really steep. It's like proper, like, what angle?
This is good.
45 degree.
If not more.
Yeah, it was icy. I did have my walking boots on, but they were useless on ice. And so I just slipped and didn't want to let go of the dog because she'd shoot off. So I just slammed my hand against the brick bridge wall to, like, try and stop myself and stop the dog and just kind of brace. So yeah, I did a little bit more damage than I meant to. And because I'm trying to crochet, the wool kept catching on the flapping skin and stuff.
Oh, okay. Oh,
There you are.
That's a fascinating story.
So we've
Right.
got quite a few people.
Flick it up and down.
Yeah.
All right, I'm putting my finger, I'm putting my finger, I'm putting my finger. Where did it stop? Who's that?
finger.
Kate.
Kate.
Woo! Go on, Kate. Go on, Kate.
Very good.
Problem is, though, with Kate, you might have to post it. I don't know if you've got to post it to Germany or if you've got to post
Yeah,
it
we'll,
or you've got to post
Oh,
it.
might want me to. Hey, do you want me to send it to? Was it your sister again? Because Kate has purchased from me before.
Oh, Kate's broke her competition cherry. Well done, Kate. Go on, girl.
There we go. You got your own little tard.
there we go.
You got the howlite necklace and a little bracelet as well. There we
And
go.
for brand new car. No, I'm joking.
We would like to say that we cannot guarantee these to be delivered before Christmas due
Oh,
to the
no,
fact that
no.
Royal Mail happens to be
Yeah.
on strike.
It'll be after Christmas, and hopefully things won't get lost.
A New Year's present.
So we've got people saying congratulations on winning.
Big up,
And I did say, what have you done
Do
to what have you done to your finger?
Yeah, there we go.
In Essex, we call that going for a Burton. It's just a weird have.
But
I don't
the rest of the country going for a burn means you're going to go for a cigarette. You're going to go for a smoke.
No, where I'm from, if you fall over, we call it going for a Burton. I don't understand why.
Burton.
A burn.
Did you say Burn or Burton?
Burn.
I can't tell with his
Burn.
accent.
Burton on
Burn.
Trent.
As in going for a fag.
Well, hey, it sounds like he's in Burton. Now he's breaking up.
See, now he's having a burn.
I'm having a bit. Hold on 2 seconds. Oh no, mate, that's fine. That's me.
But yes.
Just a little confused.
So anyway,
Anyway,
that's the prize done. Next
tune in
week's
for Friday.
prize Friday is a massive one.
Oh god. Oh my god.
Hey, if you win that, you can't pay for your flights.
Yeah.
Anyone who wins who is not in this country, yeah, sorry, you might need to pay for your own flights.
So yeah. Ooh, good. Well,
Oh, yeah.
sorry guys, really starting to. I can feel it building up in me now.
Is anyone actually interested in the 7 sub races of Atlantis?
Do you know what? Go for it. Why not?
Right.
Why
So
we talk about
Sorry,
Atlantis?
that.
Damon wants to do a show and tell. He said that.
He's done
I don't
research.
know.
Learn.
all right. So you have 7. Well, Atlanteans themselves were a root race, but you had 7 sub races that lived in Atlantis, and depending on what race you were or seen as, depending on where you lived within the ring of Atlantis. Now, the 2 main races of Atlantis that used to live in the middle ring were the Arcadians, who are said to be the psychics, the people that could read minds, and the Turanians, which were the strength. They used to have this incredible strength where they had the strength of like 8 or 9 men. And then from the middle circle, you have the Ramahal, the Tlavati, which were like they're described as Cro-Magnons. So they were like they used to worship like the god of death and stuff like that. And you also had in the middle circle, you had the Semites, which were Phoenicians. They were the people that were scholars who used to come up with theories based on, and they were very advanced theories for the time. And then on the outer ring, you used to have the Toltec, and used to have the Mongolians, which is the race that then went on to colonize like Central Asia and East Asia and become the Mongolian race, where we know from Attila the Hun and places like that. So that's the 7 sub races and where they used to live within the city. Now, races on the outside were not allowed to travel inside the city, but the races that were on the inside of the city could travel to the outside ring. So people on the middle ring could travel to the outside ring, but the people on the middle ring could travel to all 3. And supposedly the owner of Atlantis, where we got the image of Poseidon. This was supposed to be the king of Atlantis. That his image was taken there. He lived in the inner circle, could travel anywhere within the Atlantean community.
What's known as what was known as the High Council, High Courts.
Mm-hmm. Or the Mystic.
Yeah. Really good though. But yes, I always like it when you do research, man. You always get proud. It's nice.
I'm not
be proud of your research.
I've got to know some things about it. Atlantis has always been like a major thing for me. I've always, for all my research, it's always come up, you know, because you always talk about, we talked about on last week's show, Friday show, the circle being the unified shape of the universe, the fact that Atlantis was built in a circle, you know, it was the first one to recognize the circle as an infinite shape. Also, the fact when you talk about root races, we go back in theology, when you talk about people like Henry Cornelius Agrippa, Helena Blavatsky, John Dee, even down to Aleister Crowley, a lot of his teachings were taken from writings of Atlantis. Yeah, I know, but a lot of people don't realise that the Atlantis, as much as we say technologically advanced, which it was also theologically advanced as well. Some of the teachings of Atlantean theologians were far superior to what we're actually coming out with today. You know, they supposedly, if you look at, it's not fact, it's more fiction, but if you look at it, they actually developed the theory of gravity before we actually developed it. You know what I mean? And supposedly they had theories based around inner strength, like Buddhist teachings and stuff like that. Like the theologians of Atlantis were like literally beyond what we could think of nowadays.
Yeah, you just to verify that more in history as well. You look at Baghdad when it was a university, just before the Middle Ages started kicking off, and the first rear of the Islamic Caliphate. Their teachings and medicines and scientific discoveries were massive, absolute massive.
Yeah.
And then it dropped back, and we've only really sort of come out of the dark ages recently. Like if you think we had the Industrial Revolution, 1800s, and then from there we went on to like electrical stuff and all that sort of stuff, and then it was sort of at a steady pace till World War One. World War One saw a great leap in technology. The then you had the Wright brothers, and from the Wright brothers, it only took 66 years for us to go to the moon.
Yeah.
Do like put satellites up and stuff like that. And then from there, we've gone from from that we've gone into like now nanotechnology. We've got AI systems. It's
technology. You've got stealth technology. You've got fighter jets that can defy the speed of sound, the speed of light. We talk about if you look at commercial modernization, you can now take commercial flights to anywhere in the world. We're able to share information. We're able to do shows live on Facebook like we do. Technology's jumped so far.
Yeah. And but as of what date are we today?
It's December, definitely December.
18th. So I think it was the 16th. So as of a couple of days ago, cold nuclear fusion was never thought possible.
No.
It was achieved last week. We achieved cold nuclear fusion, an unlimited amount of energy.
Yeah.
We have plasma reactors that burn hotter than the sun. This is how far we've advanced in just a small space of time.
And if you look at history and you look at the teachers in history, humanity has to regress before we progress. So we can look at it as being the progression and the time between hijack, you're right. And the time between Atlantis and now is our regression, and now we're going into the progression stage.
The question that you could probably ask more is, are we going too fast rather than
way too fast?
I think this is where
too fast.
Yeah, this is where you get the lesson of Atlantis. Is the tale is that they progressed too much, so they brought about their own destruction.
Yeah.
So are we going down that same path? Are we progressing too fast? Are we going to become, I don't know, what, 10,000 years time? Are we going to be the lost civilizations that they're looking for?
Yeah. Yeah.
Are we going to be the next cycle? Because if you think now, we look back at an ancient cycle, we look at the Egyptians, we don't know how they managed to make some of their stuff. All the ancient worlds, we don't know how they made their stuff. Like when you look at India and stuff like that, and they talk about tales of mass destruction and weapons, and you can find nuclear signals in a desert area that there shouldn't be. There's never been a nuclear explosion, but yet there is evidence of a nuclear explosion, and they talk about it in like the Vishnu and not Vishnu, the I can't remember the name of the Indian books, but in the Sanskrit tales and stuff like that. Are we going to that next stage? Are we going to become the next Atlantis? Are we going to become the next ancient sort of people?
People are going more stupid, I think.
Well, yeah.
We've got the people that, are doing all this innovation and stuff, but they're kind of in the minority, really, compared to if you look at the rest of the population of the world and how we've got all this technology and everything, and we're kind of going backwards.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I read something really cool the other day that sort of, and don't take this as in a bad way, but it reminded me of Ben, because I was reading this book about ancient ways in which to create hobbits.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, no, I know. Complete. Most people look at that and just throw it away, but I had to read it. But these were actual writings in a grimoire of how they were creating these small men, basically small people, back in the days when people used to write grimoires. I think it's like 1500s or that.
Yeah.
And they were talking about, you had to insert certain semen into a cow's stomach, and then it has to be kept to a certain degree, and then it had to be taken out and then put into like a bath of pink salt, and then it was quite. Don't ask me why it reminded me of you. I don't know why, right? Not in a bad way, but I was reading it. I was like, this is something that would interest Ben.
That's probably because my sister calls me Frodo. That's probably why. It
could be. It could. That's completely Emma's fault all the way.
Yeah.
No, but this is what I'm saying. We talk about the regression. Like you're talking about, like back in that day, people People were talking. People were saying about, you know, like creating these hobbits from like ancient rituals, and nowadays you can clone anything. They cloned sheep, didn't they? They cloned. You can 3D print food now.
Twitch here saying evening. Sorry, Titch. I will say properly first off sometime. Saying Claire's ears are burning. Yeah, we don't know where Hobbit is tonight. She's normally on. But yeah, you like that, for example, you look back when this is a question for everyone, just to show how much technology can advance without people realizing. When was Dolly the sheep cloned?
I remember reading this, and I'm pretty sure that the first cloning actually took place, and it was it actually happened to the point where it was 100% clone of the other sheep. I think it was 92.
Yeah, so what's happened since?
This is what I mean. Like,
Where's it? Where's you don't? Yeah, you don't just progress with something and then stop. That's the difference.
Kate, look, Ben, Kate's but you would have had loads of work back in the 1800s.
Oh dear. Cheers, Kate. But yeah, the progression of technology doesn't stop.
No.
This is the weird thing. This is where stuff disappears to. Like recently, there was a scientist arrested in China for doing human manipulation on DNA.
Yeah.
But you don't just stop. That's the thing. Modern day people, we all think that, oh yeah, if they get caught doing something, they stop. When it comes to like scientific stuff and stuff like that, they don't.
How many people get caught speeding, but then carry on the speeding?
Yeah. Prime example with like Kate just putting on World War II.
Mm-hmm.
Look at what happened. All the scientists that the Germans had for advancing their technology, they didn't just stop when the war ended. They went over to America and carried on.
The main German scientist that was in charge of making dingleberries and the bombs that used to fly themselves went over to America and was part of the Apollo 11 team that landed on the moon. Neil Armstrong.
They set up NASA.
Yeah.
The nuclear, the German scientists helped the Manhattan Project to end the war. They created the nuclear bomb.
Yep.
It doesn't stop. It merely shifts out of people's view.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you look, World War II is a prime example of it. They were advancing, going and going and going and going. And then all of a sudden, they just got shifted. From Germany's end of war, they went to secret labs and started working on the Manhattan Project.
Yep.
They didn't stop. They just disappeared. And that's the thing. Scientists don't stop working on stuff. They just disappear. Yeah,
it's like that's well, according to conspiracy theories, that's why New Schwabenland was built in Antarctica for these German scientists to move on to, so they flew under the radar and carry on their research to better humanity when we're just making stuff that just destroys humanity. But when we talk about progression and regression, you just mentioned about people manipulating DNA. If we look at the original story of the Anunnaki, supposedly they manipulated the DNA of humans to turn us to who we are in today. And then fast forward millions and millions of years, we're doing it again. We're manipulating DNA to make it better.
We have, as of yet, not mapped the human DNA 100%.
No, and I don't think we will for a long time. It's too complex.
Well, there was a theory, and I still sort of back this, that if you were going to hide a message for the human race, and when they're ready to read it, they'll be able to. You don't hide it in stone. You hide it in the DNA.
Hide it in something that lives and something that can replicate. So the message is carried for many years. It's like what we did with the whole thing with the Templars and Mary Magdalene. If you look at that sort of conspiracy, the fact that Jesus' child was inside Mary Magdalene, and the idea was to keep that bloodline going for years and years and years, so that when humans were ready to discover the secrets and the true story of Jesus, that it would be in a living person, not written on paper or carved into stone.
Okay, aren't they recently doing that with chicks, cloning chicks for egg production? Yeah. China are massively doing that in the minute. They're trying to clone a lot of animals to balance out their human needs, basically their food needs and stuff like that.
The consumption level of humans, isn't it?
Human brain transplant and grown in rats freaks me out. Yep. They recently brought back through technology. They also recently brought back a pig's brain from the dead and managed to make it play Pong.
Wow.
They also created. I'm got to stress this word. They created a brain cell that could play Pong. I know it doesn't seem much, but that's creating the brain cell.
Yeah, it's doing something that
Yeah.
to the human mind. Like, that's the one question that's always posed massively in all of human history. Is like, how are we created and where are we from?
Yeah.
Well, they've just created a brain cell. So they obviously have answered that question. It's going to be another one of them things that I've done with the aliens, like with the Americans done with the aliens. We're not going to know it exists until they decide we're allowed to know that it exists.
Natasha, I'm saying I saw that, it was insane. Yep, the advances, like you have what's known as the ethical law when it comes to medicine. Now, this is supposedly to stop people going beyond cloning, crossbreeding people with animals, stuff like that. It doesn't exist. People are always getting freaking caught by it. Oh, the old friend there. Hello, Warren Area Society. How are we all doing?
Hats off. Whoop, whoop.
Mr. Fedora.
Mr.
It's been a very long time for Mr. Fedora.
We have to have a catch up in the year with these guys.
Yeah,
That was a cool conversation.
We'll get Warren Area Society back on next year. Mr. Fedora, hopefully we can get you back on as well for a good old catch up next year on the show. It'd be really nice to have you on.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's we're coming. Well, got about 10 minutes left of the show, but
Can I pose a question?
go for it.
Right, it's not anything to do with tonight. I want to pose a question because I want to get the listeners who are going to look into Friday's show. And Ben and Lou don't really know much about this anyway, because it's just an idea that's literally just popped up into my head now. The question we're going to be asking on Friday's show is, we're going to be asking the question, do ghosts actually exist, or are they remnants of atmospheric play? So we're going to be talking about that on Friday, but I want guys to take that away. See what that, because as much we've done a lot of paranormal shows, right? But we've done it from the armchair of they do exist. So we're actually going to put some questions out there and find out, do ghosts exist on Friday?
Are we going to also be doing about Krampus and stuff like that? We
We
going
can
to do
Crumpets.
do our
Krampus.
existing. Talk about Krampus, and we can talk about our Russian Santa. I've got to get a picture for that. Russian Santa is a dude. He looks like Mr. Freeze in Batman.
Nice. Been doing well. I've just been a busy spot of my life. Hopefully everything's all right for you, buddy. Hopefully it's all past. It's always darkest before the dawn. So hopefully you're back to normal. Like I say, we'll get you on next year. Yeah, so
When people say that I'm going to get you on next year, it seems like miles away, but it's like 2 weeks. It's like,
trust me, just for all of you to have a bit of a laugh, me and my sister Emma, who comes on, we used to work in a bar, and I used to live upstairs in this pub, and every bloody year you'd get people going, see you next year, and it's like close to midnight. Or I've been drinking this pint for a whole year. It's like you can't until you've worked in the pub industry, you can't understand how boring and annoying that gets. Especially, and I'm pretty sure every single one of you is guilty of this, of when you go to a till and an object doesn't scan, and you all go, does that mean it's free? You're not the first person to say that comment. Sorry, guys. You're not the first person to say that
I'm
comment.
probably the only one that doesn't do that. Normally, when I put my card in and it goes declined, I'm like, oh, fuck. All right, I'll use the other card.
Because some people have done like a few rant videos recently. I just want to put my rant out there as my rant video of it's some things like that. Just don't say, please.
Right in the retail and hospitality.
Yeah. On Friday, when you left, towards the end of the show, we done icks, like things that really like.
We saw, yeah.
Oh my God, can you not say that word so often? Seriously. Huh?
What, Jeff? Well, which word?
Ick.
Why?
Ick. Every single word is ick, ick. It's just like, John Damon, I feel like just turn my phone across the room.
Louis ick is the
Damon
word
saying
ick.
Well, me using the word ick is your ick, so we won't use the word.
No.
Oh, dear.
About woke people and what they're saying about Neil Armstrong.
Oh, is it? They are so late to the party. It's unreal.
Funny because if you spell his name backwards, it spells alien.
Yeah, it worked that out before he like launched off.
It's so jeffing funny.
It's just there's silly things because I got to miss out on the end of that episode. I had so much I was going to throw in, but I didn't get a chance.
Woke people make me laugh. Some of the stuff they come up with is actually hilarious. Like one I said about, if you're wearing a sweater and you sweat, don't you become the sweater?
Yeah. I think the best lines we get, and I'm going to say this now for my work, is obviously when you turn up to a customer's house when we're doing removing the gutters and stuff like that. If we get them to come up, and they always come up and they'll go like laughing, they'll walk in and they go, "You know what you guys are doing then?" It's like me and my boss now answer and go, "No, we ain't got a clue. I thought you were doing it. You rang us to come and do your job. Of course we know what we're doing."
I don't but we're talking about work stuff. Like I have to deal with a lot of complaints with all the bin delivery, people taking rubbish and that. And the most common thing people say is, "I pay my council tax." Like as if I don't pay council tax. I normally, just to wind them up, I go, "No, I get mine for free, so it doesn't bother me."
It's part of the benefits of being a dustman.
Yeah. The other one that reminds me of you, what people say, they go, "If you work as a security guard at the Samsung shop, does that make you the guardian of the galaxy?"
Yeah, Simon never done that at all. RM lies. Okay, the Dark Lord versus retail. Trust me, I am. If anyone ever comes on here, and if my mum comes on here, I'll get her to tell you I got banned off the shop floor at Sainsbury's. I wasn't allowed more than 6 feet out of every single door onto the shop floor due to my customer relationship skills. Ben should have his own comic book series. What?
Yeah, the life of the Dark Lord.
The life of the Dark Lord. When people call it, "Oh, do you believe in the paranormal?" No, I've never believed in the paranormal, and I've got my Occultology jumper on in clear day.
That is the best comment I've ever heard. That is brilliant. It says, I'm a city bus driver. One of the funniest moments is when I was sitting in the driver's seat in the full uniform and a passenger gets on and looked at me and asks, "Are you the driver?" That is brilliant. Nah, mate, I'm just part of the decoration. I just stand here and do this with the wheel for no reason. Yeah.
Well, to be fair, Mr. Fedora, we get it in this country. We get it with taxi drivers, and every single person is guilty of this. And I know I've done it a few as well at the end of the night. You get in a taxi, and the first thing you say to the bloke is, "Are you busy then?"
Yeah. yeah. Oh, tonight, is it?
It's the first thing you say.
It's like a conversation breaker in it with taxi drivers. You've been busy, so they go, oh yeah. But the worst thing you can do with anyone that drives a black cab in London is start a conversation with them, because black cab drivers have so much to say.
Yeah.
And if it's a long journey, you're probably going to get about 2 words in the conversation.
I can understand that though. Come on, you are appalled. Which is quite funny. How tall are you?
Because I think anything above 6'4" is clinically classed as like really, really tall. I mean, I'm 5'12", so you know what I mean.
Yeah, you're 5 foot small, aren't you?
I'm 6 foot, 5'12" and a half.
Hey, 6'1".
See, that's not tall. That okay. People might say that's tall for a lady, but that's not tall.
Yeah.
Like there's loads of tall people out there, and anyone, if you ever meet a tall people, the normal joke is, "Can you breathe up there?" It's like, wow, really?
Yeah.
Damon, for a lady, anyone over 5'7", 5'8", trying to find actual clothes that fit your dimensions is a nightmare.
What, 5'8" tall or 5'8" wide?
5'8" tall.
Oh dear.
Although shops have got better nowadays.
I got a friend at work he's a bloke and he's only 4'7".
Oh, speaking of tall people, here comes Jolly Green Giant.
Who, Matt?
Matt.
I swear Matt's like 6'7".
To verify how tall Matt is, after the show, there's a photo. I'm going to put a photograph of me and Matt stood next to each other, and you can compare the size just to verify. Matt used to be a rugby player as well. Right?
Yeah, I've seen the photo. Matt is that tall, right? Before, when he was a teenager, he used to do the adverts for the sweet corn.
I wonder if they get passengers who get in and go 2 blocks and get out. I've had that happen and asked if I did something wrong, and they said no, this is their stop.
That's normal in this country. People will literally get on a bus and go unstop.
Yeah, there is that. There is that.
Oh dear. So, what's your icks, Lou?
No, it's a good statement.
Oh no. Oh, don't. I've got so many. There are so many.
I think a main ick at the minute is finding my socks around the house, because the puppies seem to have developed this attachment to just grabbing my socks out of anywhere and leaving them scattered around the house with holes in them.
Yeah, funny.
I was watching one the other day, right? Yeah, and because there's these 2 guys that I watch. They do a podcast, right? Yeah, it's just called Jeffs and Giggles. You know what Jeff stands for? And they do like this thing where they do icks, and people actually Twitter in and text in. And one of them goes, "My main ick is when you invite a friend round to the house and you give them a glass of water and they drink it so that you can see their teeth while they're drinking it through the glass." I was like, I've never thought of that, but that would really Jeff me off. That would proper Jeff me off.
And there is so many.
Yeah. There's some people do some strange things. And like another ick is like when you go to when you go on a holiday and the person who had the person who had the room before you, and the maid hasn't been in there, and you go to have a shower and all the hair's in the plug hole, and it really bugs me. Because it's not like a tiny bit of hair. You'll pull it out and it'll be like a dreadlock that's coming out. It's like, oh.
Where have you been?
Not many.
I always find it funny when someone's like doing an interview and they're sat on the most squeakiest chair. So every time they move.
I know that. Where's D40?
Well, on that note, guys, that's the end of the show.
Another epic one.
Yeah. It's always a brilliant one. As for those that you are obviously new to the shows, obviously because we keep getting more and more people onto the show, more and more people onto the page. Christ, I never thought we'd getting on for like 2,300 people on the page.
Crazy.
Yeah, we're getting a few little trolls now popping up, but hey, it shows we're doing something. So we're not
Just
really.
come on the videos then.
Yeah. We there has been a few little comments that you can all go down and have a laugh at. One bloke's put on, why am I still getting stuff on this page I left months ago? You click on his profile. Yes, we can click on your profiles and check. And you joined in
2nd of December.
2nd of December, and you've still not left. So it's not for us. You're obviously still a member, so it's not something we're doing. You obviously just went, oh, I've left this page. Clearly, you've not.
We really need to do some sort of IQ test before people join.
Okay, obviously, yeah, I've seen the trolls. Honestly, guys, if any of the trolls watch this, we're happy to have you on. It makes it fun, but just remember, me, Lou, and Damon do have a thing called banter, and we will banter with you.
We've always said it from the day one when we started doing the show. If anyone has any sort of belief system or anything that challenges what we say, you are more come on the show and just have it out of us. We're not the sort of people to sit there and go, no, you're wrong. We will listen to you. We'll put our evidence across, and then we'll come to a conclusion at the end. 9 times out of 10, the conclusion will be you're wrong and we're right. But that's not the. Do you know what I mean?
We are, as we've always said on the show since the beginning, anyone that ever wants to come on the show, just get in touch. We'll quite happily have you on the show to talk.
Open door policy we have here on the I mentioned. Open door.
Yeah, we always have an open door policy.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one person that I will slam the door in front of, but I don't think he'll ever come on the show.
Oh, I thought you were about Kate, but she had a really good show. No, I'm joking.
Kate's about to get a nightmare after Christmas when I send her a load of Latin stuff that needs translating. I've been quite kind. I've not sent it her yet.
No, we have to. That's another thing. In the new year, we're gonna have to get Kate back on the show because Kate's show that exploded. Everyone loved that. We're gonna have to get Kate back on the show, and also the medium that tried to speak to your nan and your other nan. That I really need to get him back on the show because that was quite an epic show. So
we have had some good ones this year.
We are going to do like towards the end of the year when we're getting close to the year. Me, Ben, and Lou, we are going to do a Friday show. I think it falls on the 30th, December the 30th. We're going to be doing a Friday show where we'll be going back over the last year, putting out some of our favourite bits. We're also going to be putting out some of our favourite guests. We're also, between me, Ben, and Lou, we're going to have an argument to find out who is our favourite guest and the person that we believe has bought the most of the show as a listener. And they will be getting a £10 Amazon voucher from us. That will be happening. We're also going to be doing our favourite live guest who's come on the show, and they will also be winning a £10 Amazon voucher from us. So it will basically be like a 2022 review show in which we pick out our favourite bits. So see what happens.
Also, for those that because I've had some people asking, I will try and find the phone call that I had with the guy on the phone.
The phone call that you had with the guy on the phone.
I know what I mean. My brain's fried, but his was completely gone.
I'm pretty sure I uploaded it to Patreon.
We'll get that phone. We'll try and get that phone call back up.
That was brilliant. That was one of the. We'll save that. We'll save that for the show. I'll tell you what. I'll even try and dig it out live on the review show.
Well, that's it, guys. So next Friday, we will see you. Don't forget, be on here because you are not going to win that prize anywhere else. 2 tickets to the Haunted Museum, Stoke-on-Trent, for a private tour. Honestly, it is the best place to go. You will see brilliant artifacts there, including the Devil's Toy box that we have there with paperwork and with the evidence and proof of a whole case. Craig will talk you through it. Honestly, it is not a prize to miss. And you'll also get your own exclusive little Todd keyring.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that exclusive, even the people that run the show don't have a Todd. That's how it is.
Well, that is it from us, guys. Well, stay safe and enjoy yourself Christmas. So we will catch you all next Friday.
Oh yeah.
Catch you all later. Bye
Later.
for now.